The northern lights painted ribbons of emerald and violet across the vast Alaskan sky as Daniel made his way home from his shift at the lumber mill. At 27, he had grown accustomed to the profound silence of life in Cedar Creek, population 284. The aurora's ethereal glow transformed the snow-covered path through the forest into something magical, turning ordinary pines into crystalline sculptures. That night felt different somehow. The usual whisper of wind through ice-laden branches had fallen silent, and even the persistent call of night birds had ceased. The temperature dropped suddenly, creating ice crystals that hung suspended in the air like microscopic prisms, each one catching and refracting the auroral light in impossible ways. Daniel's breath came out in thick clouds that swirled and danced before dissipating into the frigid night. The forest around him seemed alive with shifting shadows and mysterious plays of light, as if nature itself was preparing for something extraordinary. Then the lights above began moving strangely, coalescing into a tight spiral that descended toward the snow-covered clearing ahead. The air itself seemed to crystallize, each snowflake freezing mid-fall, each ice crystal suspended as if time itself had paused. Reality began to bend like light through a prism, and in that moment of cosmic distortion, she appeared. She was unlike anything he'd ever seen or imagined. Tall and ethereal, her platinum hair floated as if suspended in zero gravity, catching and refracting the aurora's light in ways that defied physics. Her eyes were the deepest blue he'd ever encountered, like looking into glacial ice that somehow contained entire galaxies. Her clothing seemed woven from starlight itself, flowing, ethereal garments that rippled with waves of light and color, moving around her form in impossible patterns. "Please," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the air vibrate. "Don't be afraid." Though her lips moved in strange patterns, the words formed directly in his mind, accompanied by impressions of warmth and gentle curiosity. "I'm not," Daniel replied, surprising himself with his calm. "Who are you?" A smile transformed her already stunning features into something that made his heart skip. "My name is Nova. I come from what you would call the Andromeda Galaxy." She moved closer, each step leaving crystalline patterns in the snow that spiraled outward like frozen fractals. "I've been watching you, Daniel Matthews, the way you look at the stars every night, the questions in your heart, the longing you try to hide. How do you know my name?" Nova's laugh was like wind chimes in zero gravity. "We've been studying your world for a very long time. But you..." She stepped closer, bringing a scent like flowers blooming in starlight. "You're different. You see beauty where others see emptiness. You dream of more than this small corner of Earth. Your mind reaches for the stars in ways that most humans don't. Why reveal yourself to me?" Daniel asked, finding courage in her gentle demeanor. Nova's expression turned playful, a spark of mischief dancing in those impossible eyes. "Because some rules deserve to be broken. Some connections transcend the boundaries we set for ourselves." She reached out, her fingers stopping just short of touching his face. Where her hand passed, the air shimmered with tiny points of light. "Would you like to see how I perceive your world, Daniel Matthews?" The aurora above them pulsed in rhythm with Daniel's heartbeat. Nova reached out, her fingers hovering near his face. Where her hand passed, the air shimmered with points of light that danced like quantum fireflies. "Your species fascinates me," she said, studying him with those galaxy-deep eyes. "You feel everything so intensely. Every emotion creates ripples in the quantum field around you. Each thought leaves traces in the fabric of reality itself." "Is that what those lights are?" Daniel asked, watching the sparkles dance between them. Nova smiled. "They're manifestations of potential energy possibilities made visible." She finally touched his cheek, sending waves of warmth through him like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Right now, there are many possibilities surrounding us." The world shifted, reality becoming fluid. The clearing transformed around them, the aurora's light bending and folding until they stood in what appeared to be a space between spaces. The ground beneath them was like liquid crystal, and the air filled with floating points of light that responded to their movements. "What is this place?" Daniel breathed, looking around in wonder. The normal forest had disappeared, replaced by a landscape that existed somewhere between thought and reality. A pocket dimension, Nova explained, moving through the space with practiced grace. Here, the laws of physics are more flexible. I can show you how I truly see your world. She gestured, and the lights around them formed into complex patterns, like a living mathematical dance. Each movement she made left trails of luminescence in the air, creating patterns that told stories of distant stars and ancient civilizations. The temperature was neither warm nor cold, but rather a perfect equilibrium that made Daniel feel as if he were floating in living starlight. "Would you like to see my true form?" Nova asked softly. "It might be overwhelming." When Daniel nodded, Nova took a step back. The air around her began to vibrate with possibility. Her form shifted, becoming something that existed in more dimensions than his mind could process. For a moment, he glimpsed her true self, a being of pure energy and consciousness, a mathematical dance of light and beauty that defied human understanding. When she returned to her humanoid appearance, Daniel could still see echoes of her true nature bleeding through the edges of her form. Patterns of light danced beneath her skin, and her eyes held entire galaxies. "That was incredible," he breathed, finding himself drawn closer to her. "You're incredible." Nova moved to meet him until their energy fields began to merge. "You're adapting quickly," she observed. "Your consciousness is expanding to perceive things most humans can't. Do you know how rare that is?" The space around them responded to their proximity, the floating lights swirling faster, the crystal ground beneath them pulsing with new patterns. Every breath they shared seemed to create new possibilities, new pathways between their different worlds. "I should warn you," Nova whispered, her breath like stardust against his skin, "that intimate contact between our species is strictly forbidden. The energy exchange could transform you on a quantum level. You would never be quite human again." "Maybe that's not such a bad thing," Daniel said, pulling her closer. Their first kiss was like touching a live wire, but instead of pain, it brought waves of pleasure and understanding. His consciousness expanded exponentially, touching the edges of something vast and beautiful. Nova's energy merged with his, showing him glimpses of distant stars, of worlds beyond imagination. The pocket dimension around them responded to their connection. The crystalline ground pulsed with waves of light that matched their now synchronized heartbeats. The air filled with swirling patterns of energy that told stories of cosmic creation and infinite possibility. Each touch between them created new constellations of light that spiraled outward into infinity. Through Nova's perception, Daniel could see the quantum dance of particles that made up reality itself. Every snowflake contained universes of possibility. Every breath they shared created new branches of reality. His skin had begun to glow with patterns that matched Nova's own radiance, geometric fractals that told the story of their connection in a language of light. When they finally separated, Daniel noticed his entire body glowed with subtle light, patterns of energy flowing beneath his skin. "What's happening to me?" he asked, watching the light pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. Nova traced the glowing patterns with her finger. "Our energies have merged at a quantum level. The process is irreversible." She looked both concerned and fascinated. "You're the first human to ever experience dimensional synthesis. Your DNA is already beginning to adapt." The transformation deepened with each passing moment. The aurora above had become a swirling vortex of energy that responded to their emotions, creating displays that would have been impossible in normal spacetime. The trees surrounding their private dimension had transformed into crystalline formations that caught and amplified their shared energy. Their union transcended ordinary physical experience. As they came together, the pocket dimension responded to their shared energy, creating cascading waves of light and color that rippled through multiple realities simultaneously. The space around them became a living kaleidoscope of quantum possibilities. But suddenly, Nova's head snapped up, her eyes wide with alarm. "They're coming," she whispered. "The observation team has detected our energy signature, our connection. It's created ripples in the fabric of space-time that are impossible to hide." "Your people," Daniel asked, suddenly afraid. Not for himself, but for her. Best case? They'll extract me from Earth, erase your memories. She touched his glowing skin. But with these changes already manifesting in you, they might decide more drastic measures are necessary. Then let's leave, Daniel said without hesitation. You can take us somewhere they won't find us. Nova's eyes sparkled with something between hope and mischief. It would mean leaving everything behind, your home, your life, your entire world. Before she could finish, the air began to crackle with new energy. The pocket dimension fractured into prismatic shards as three beings materialized, their forms barely contained within three-dimensional space. Each movement they made left trails of probability in their wake, ghostly echoes of all possible actions they might have taken. Observer Nova. One spoke directly into their minds. You have violated our most sacred protocols. The human has been quantum-touched. Another observed, its form fluctuating with alarm. The contamination is spreading through his cellular structure. Nova stepped in front of Daniel protectively, her form beginning to shift toward her true state. He's not contaminated. He's evolving. Look at how his consciousness has expanded. He can perceive our true forms and remain stable. Don't you understand what this means? The space between them crackled with protective energy. Where their energies merged, new patterns of light formed proof of their unique quantum harmony. The pocket dimension became a stage for this confrontation of cosmic forces. Each word spoken by the observation team materialized in the air as complex mathematical equations. The third being moved closer, studying Daniel with senses he could now partially perceive. Fascinating. The melding appears stable. His neural pathways are adapting to process quantum information. Turned to its companions. Perhaps we have been too rigid in our assumptions about developing species. That doesn't excuse the protocol breach, the first being insisted, though Daniel sensed uncertainty in its tone. No, Nova agreed, but it might justify a new protocol. She reached back for Daniel's hand, and where they touched, their energies merged visibly. Look at the harmony of our quantum signatures. This isn't contamination, it's synthesis. The beings conferred in frequencies Daniel couldn't quite process, their forms rippling with complex emotions. The ground beneath them had become a mirror of deep space, reflecting infinite stars that seemed to watch this judgment unfold. The observation team's deliberation sent ripples through multiple dimensions. Each possibility existed simultaneously, separation and unity, punishment and evolution, all suspended in quantum superposition. The final choice would collapse these possibilities into a single timeline that would affect not just them, but potentially the future of human cosmic relations. We face an unprecedented situation, the first being finally announced. Your unauthorized experiment has proven that cross-species quantum bonding is possible without catastrophic consequences. This changes everything. We offer you a choice, the second being addressed them both. Either submit to separation and memory extraction, or become our first official human-celestial research partnership. What does that mean? Daniel asked, squeezing Nova's hand. It means, the third being explained, you would work with us, exploring the possibilities this discovery presents. Your bond would be monitored but preserved. You would be a bridge between our species, helping us understand each other. There are others like you, Nova added softly. Humans who look to the stars and dream. We could help prepare your world for the knowledge that you're not alone. Her eyes held both hope and uncertainty. But it would mean leaving your old life behind. Daniel looked at his glowing skin, at the woman he loved, at the cosmic beings offering him a future beyond imagination. In his mind, new awareness bloomed like stars being born. He could feel the quantum fields around them, see the intricate web of possibilities stretching out before them. Why choose? He asked, feeling Nova's energy pulse with approval. We could do both, maintain our connection here, and explore the cosmos together. After all, he smiled. Some rules deserve to be broken to create better ones. When the new protocols were written, they manifested as streams of living light that wove themselves into the fabric of reality. The pocket dimension expanded to accommodate this new paradigm, creating a space where human and cosmic could coexist and evolve together. The aurora above unfroze and began dancing again, but now it moved to rhythms that bridged the gap between Earth and stars. Daniel and Nova's combined energy signature became a beacon, a first note in a symphony that would eventually transform both their species. Their love story had literally rewritten the laws of reality, creating new possibilities that would echo across the cosmos. As they stood together at the threshold of this new chapter, the stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging this moment when the boundaries between worlds began to dissolve. Their future was uncertain, but filled with infinite potential, a quantum state of endless possibility. The end, or perhaps the beginning of something far greater.